Hello, slingshot shooters. So today we're going to be using the taper template. How to cut bands with a taper template. It will be a separate video on using various taper rulers, but this one is just strictly templates. So this one, as you can see, is a 2012 170 length. It's marked for 190 max length. I mark them for my center line. I always just find that it's handy to have that center line, so I always mark it. What are these numbers though? Well, let's find out. So first things first, we're going to need some latex and a cutter. So let's get going. First step, we need to make sure our end is square. How I do that is I use the lines on the mat. And you can see that this one is not square. Which I knew it wasn't because right before the video, I purposely cut it so it was not square. Because I never leave mine not square when I put them away. So, let's square this up. There's a few different ways we can do this. First, we can use a ruler. There we go. That would be square. Well, here. Let's just actually do it, because I have another cut. So now we have a good square end. Before we use this one though, let's take the piece I cut off and let's square this one up. But instead of doing it this way, we'll use the taper template. So we'll purposely spin it sideways so there can't be any cheating. The easiest way is to use one of these lines if you have it basically cut to the length you want. You can see right there, we are definitely off. Going by this line, we have gap there, and we're over down here. Alright, so and get this flush against one of the outer edges, keeping the non-square edge out. It's hard to see with the camera right there. So now that we have that there, we'll slice that off. Now we have it square. Let's double check. Looks square to me. So first, let's cover the don'ts. When you go to cut it, don't line it up like that. That will result in your tapers being off. As you can see, there is a small end and a large end. This would be the fork end. This would be pouch end. So let me grab my handy dandy metric ruler here. These are great. You can see I got them from printablerulers.net. Here in the US, having to find metric is almost an impossibility. So the easiest way was to just print it off. So here we have 12, like it should be. And here at this end, we have 14. Try to zoom in a little better for you. The groove right here, 13 and a half, 14. So this would be 20 to 14 versus the 20 to 12 versus the 20 to 12 that we're expecting. Now, this end is 12. What's this one? About 15, 17? So on this one, we've got a taper of 1712. And on this one, we've got 2014. So how do we correct that? We make sure we have it centered, first off. Now this cut is too short because I just whacked off the end, like I had said. That way, to demonstrate how to square them up for you. So what we do, we'll grab our roll of latex. Now I'm going to cut one to, I'm going to actually go 170. So let's toss this out of the way. And let's measure 170. Oh, but we don't need this because we've got the taper template. So, 170 here. We're going to start at this end. Notice the 150, 160, 170 line, 180 line, 190. We want to take it to the 170. That's 170 millimeters from here to here. So we'll cut this off. And now we've got a perfectly square 170 millimeter length of latex. So get this in the center here. So we put that there, right? No. Now we're at 150 and 190. So our tapers will still be off. Now we go 170 because that's what we cut it at, 170 length. 170 to 170. Now this will give us our tapers that we want. These will be accurate. Let's double check. On the 170 line right here, it's 11 and a half, 11 and 3/4 millimeter. On this pouch end right here, it's 19 and a half. Let's move to this end, pouch end. Yeah, 19 and a half. And this one, about 12 and a half again. So there we go. Now, to minimize cutoff, what I do is I slide it right down to the very, like I leave maybe a millimeter at the widest end. And if I can get it to where it's perfect, sometimes you got to get good and close. Don't mind the back of my head for a moment. What I'm doing is I'm looking through the slicing line to verify that at this widest point, the latex is visible. I want to make sure I'm cutting the latex. So now, make sure we're at the 170. Everything's square. we have a little thin strip coming off here, and a little thin strip coming off here. Let's go ahead and cut these. One other tip. Let me grab another template. You can see how much the blade sticks out there. If you go like this, you're not getting a full cut. You will not get the full depth. You absolutely need to make sure you're holding this handle straight up. That handle being straight up like that allows that depth needed to pass through. Not by a lot, but enough to cut fully. The minute you do this, you can see how it turns. Now we're good. Now we're not. We're not going to cut all the way through. So making sure I have my roller cutter at a 90 from the surface that I'm cutting on, with the other hand holding good pressure firmly down, we make one cut, then two cut. And I just continually move my fingers back so I know which one I'm on. You do not want to miss having a cut. Now I'm going to show you what I mean here, and I'm going to purposely mess this last cut up. I'm going to start right at the center here. I'm going to start turning it down, and then on this one I'll do the same. All right, we'll close our cutter. Lift that off. There's our first little strip, our waist. One band, 2, 3. You can see how easy that is if you've ever used the adjustable rulers. Now here's our ones where I purposely did that. Get right there at that center mark, a little past it, where I started turning it. We did not cut appropriately. Now on this one you can see same thing because I did not get the blade going all the way through. Now, one other thing you can do, and I do recommend this, is I take my ruler, and the reason I didn't on this one is because of the fact I'm uncertain of the stretch. This is some new latex I'm playing out with. Typically what I will do is I will take my latex cut before I slice any bands. Let me get zoomed back out here. So before I slice any bands, I'll take my latex and I'll mark it. I will take my ruler here and I will come at 15. You guys, if you don't have one of these come from GZK. I've had this one for about, I don't know, probably around a year. I've had it for quite a while. So it's marked. You can cut all your tapers with this ruler if you want. You can see very clearly marked. I take the 15 millimeter line Make sure it's square. You can see it going all the way across here. Let me slide. So the 15 millimeter line right here. And I'll mark that with an ink pen. Then I'll come around on the other side and I'll do the same thing. Now, just for a quick, another little demonstration here. By doing that, when you get it all lined up, where are we? Helps if you have it the right way. So that one's just under 150. So now, so I cut two out, both going different directions. Take off our scrap. Now, these, remember, were like this. You can see by the thin line and the fat line. However, when I get them end to end, that is one line. It's on top of each other. So there's my pouch tie line. Stick it to the pouch to that line. That's my tie-on line for onto the frame. Super simple, guys. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be the rulers, the adjustable taper rulers. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.